Wow. Monday Night Raw has gone off the air about 2.5 hours ago, and it has thrown the WrestleMania stuff wide open. So much to unpack, so much to get into on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Crazy, crazy times. They said there was going to be twists and turns on that road to WrestleMania. They was not wrong. It is one of the best Raws off of a pay-per-view in a while as well. They've really the Elimination Chamber on its own hit the ball out of the park. This Raw hit the ball out of the park, and more questions than answers. Do we know some wrestlers' pathways now? Are some become clearer? Some have become more mistier. They're doing a good job. I give the WWE that. They are doing a great job of keeping us kind of guessing right now, which is a good thing because we don't like it too predictable in wrestling. We like the unpredictability that WWE has given us, especially in the last show and now following up to this show. But let's get things started with CM Punk. He come on Raw and cut a scathing promo on The Rock, calling him a bald fraud, and he does all the arm slapping bullshit and whatnot else. And then he turned his attention to John Cena, Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect for 20 years. You've basically frauded all of these fans with your bullshit, which is true in many ways. After the shocking heel turn of the Elimination Chamber, Cena comes out, Cena come out and turning heel. It was crazy. Punk was pissed. He rips into Seth Rollins. He says to Becky Lynch, "Come and get your man," which was interesting. That kicked off a full-scale brawl between the two. Seth's music hit. Punk jumped off the table. He ran around the ring. He started punching Seth Rollins, and this is these two. Like, we know there's a bit of animosity there, which makes it a little bit better as well, right? That really does. But on top of that, you've got the great professionalism that they show during this, and they're just capping each other, And I tell you what, this may have been the best opening segment to a Raw in many a years. Punk's anger and frustration about not only losing the Elimination Chamber, but everything else with the Cena, the Rock thing, Seth Rollins, has turned into one of the best promos of the year and one of the best brawls, to be honest with you, of the year as well. And you think that Punk really has got every right to be livid in many ways because, you know, you look at it like he kind of, John Cena, he's respecting John and he's kind of said, look, we gave you a pass when you qualified for the chamber because everything that you've done in the business, you kind of said it, is it best for business? Yes. And you kicked us all in the balls, basically. And it was so good. You know, Punk ripping basically into everyone. And he did get full use of, I think what I would say, with Punk saying bullshit and shit, and they are using that Netflix thing now because that would have been bleeped out during the USA Network, all of that sort of stuff. But because they're on Netflix now, even if as a PG show, you get that little bit more leniency. Perhaps if they had told USA Network, they may have allowed the odd one. But now it's Netflix. This is the kind of stuff because it needed profanity in this. It needed swearing in this. It needed that kind of, because when you're angry, oh, fuck's sake, you do kind of swear and get frustrated. So to have Punk say that, to not have it bleeped out, obviously Cody said it at Elimination Chamber as well. But to get that, be able to get a promo over, sometimes your frustration and frustration leads to swearing, and that kind of the good cool thing about the Netflix. As I said, the Pier 6 brawl that ended up afterwards. That continued, by the way. We'll get into that in a minute. But probably one of the best opening segments of Raw in many years, following up, in my opinion, of one of the best pay-per-views in decades. Now, Judgment Day. Obviously, Liv Morgan was busy at the Elimination Chamber, didn't quite get the job done. But Finn was berating her, really. And Dominic keeps pressing Balor about adding a new member and adding a new member. And he said, you know what? Still don't need a new member. I'm gonna take out Braun Breaker tonight. So Judgment Day's hit list is now on the Intercontinental Champion, Braun Breaker. I don't really think that's a great person you want to go and you know, you want to go and start on, that's for sure. Breaker would probably sieve down Judgment Day. More on that in a minute. But tension, is there going to be a new member? Who's it going to be? Could it be Malachi Black? I mean, obviously the rumors are that Malachi is released. Well, he has been released. There's no doubt about that. On his way back to the WWE, is that where he fits? Does he take over the Judgment Day? It fits the character of Malachi Black. Could it be that's where he comes in, or or Alistair Black, or whatever they're going to call him in WWE? Could be Malachi Red. I don't know. When they come to Ricky Starks, but look, it's one of those things we just don't know. Are they going to add that fourth member? Is the Judgment Day gonna? Are they going to get rid of all of the Judgment Day? Or is it going to be Finn and Malachi in Judgment Day and they get rid of Dominic Mysterio, Carlito, and Liv and Raquel? I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting one, right? But they're targeting Braun Breaker this week on Raw. We start with the first match of the evening, and it is the World Heavyweight Champion. It's Gunther against Otis. Now, obviously, took on Tozawa last week, if you remember. And listen, it was. Look, Gunther wins the match. It was standard. He was never going to lose. Let's be honest. Gunther was never going to lose this match. Coming up to Mania with Jey Uso, he hits the powerbomb for the win. This match was more about the aftermath of the match more than the match itself. What happens afterwards was that Gunther then locked Otis in a sleeper. Tozawa tries to make the save. You all know how that works out. He gets power bombed on Otis. Jey Uso runs down at this point. He gets into a brawl with Gunther. He hits the spear on Gunther. Gunther rolls out of the ring, and as Jey Uso celebrates, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller attack Jey Uso from behind. He ends up managing to take them out, and then Gunther sneaks up on Jey Uso and puts Jey to sleep with a sleeper. Now, as I said, this was more about the aftermath. Jey Uso did end up looking like a superhero until we didn't. You know what I mean? What I would say, I feel like he celebrates too much. And I know the crowd and I know all of this and all of that sort of stuff. I just think that, especially when you got that sort of, you've got Gunther, he's not finished, out there. And I think what this proved, what this segment proved, is what Gunther said the other week was right. That Jey Uso spends too much time with the crowd doing all of this yeeting and whatnot and doesn't focus enough on the in-ring stuff. Now, could that actually be what costs Jey Uso at WrestleMania, proving Gunther actually right all along? See, that could be an interesting one because Gunther, as he keeps saying, look, you're concentrating too much on what's going on around you and not enough what's going on within that confined to that ring. So it could be that cost Jey Uso the match at WrestleMania. It may not. It could backfire. But it's an interesting point, and it's a great theory, and Theory and Grayson getting involved as well, which is going to set up a match, I would imagine, next week with Jey Uso. But I do think that there's a point there, and I think he's right. That the hot dogging, as he called it, that was it, the hot dogging, that he called it to the crowd. That's a great point, and it was evident this week. So they played on that really, really well this week, sort of saying that he spends too much time, and I agree with it. So it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see though. We'll see what happens. Mania about 4 weeks away, 4 or 5 weeks away yet. But looking exciting. Jey Uso, Gunther. We'll see what happens with that one. Will it beat Jey Uso and Gunther? Will something else happen in between? We don't know. There's so much more that we've got to, something's going to happen now. And I believe that what the WWE are doing right is keeping us guessing right now. And it's good. Backstage, AJ Styles was having an interview and he got confronted by Karrion Kross, who's trying to be the devil on his shoulder, so to speak. Karrion Kross has had this weird way of getting in wrestlers' heads and, done it with Woods and a couple of others. And he was like, the fallout for it was AJ Styles is going to call out Logan Paul next week at Madison Square Garden. What a Raw that's going to be, by the way. MSG Raw next week. It's going to be brilliant. Nostalgia, the home of the WWE, the real home of the WWE from Raw next week. He's going to call out um, Logan Paul next week on Raw. But Karrion Kross getting his head. Are we heading to AJ Styles, Logan Paul? Is that his path? Is Karrion Kross going to be in the mix? Are we going to, it's an interesting bit because Karrion Kross is there. So is he going to, is he, I don't know. Well, like, I think Karrion Kross deserves that WrestleMania match. He hasn't had one, like, hasn't had a real one, really, since he's been there. And I think he's deserving of it. The character, he's kind of like, Vince McMahon killed him within the 30 seconds of his debut on the Raw brand when he got called up. He just killed him. It was finished before it even started. And it lost so much credibility. Triple H is kind of bringing that back. It's been a slow process, really slow. Groups and that haven't quite worked out and whatever he's done. But this one, when he's kind of getting in ahead, he was getting in ahead of Seth Rollins recently as well, could be the right way they're going about Karrion Kross now. And hopefully we'll get that WrestleMania match with AJ Styles or somebody else. But, at the moment, AJ Styles is calling Logan Paul out next week, much to the happiness of Karrion Kross, who was like, oh, that was easy at the end of the segment. But interesting times. Has AJ Styles' pathway to WrestleMania become clearer, or is it going to be fogged up again when we see here this time next week? We will find out. Women's Intercontinental Championship match was next on the show. Lara Valkyria, Ivy Nile. I think this match was Ivy's best match since joining the main roster. I think Valkyria is still in that establishment stage, as a champion. I think it's kind of I don't know. I just feel there's something missing with Valkyria. I don't know what it is. But matches like this, when they're real high quality matches, say Ivy Nile doing her best work on the roster, and Ivy Nile looks like a champion. And that's not saying that Lyra Valkyria doesn't. But Ivy Nile has got, excuse me, she's the total package. She really is the total package of the WWE. And I think championships will come her way. It didn't this week for Ivy Nile. Valkyria win. But when I'm talking about establishing herself as a champion, she's picking up these big wins, which is going to validate her as a champion. Had she had lost it, I was kind of hoping, without being disrespectful, that Ivy Nile was going to win the championship this week. But perhaps it's probably better that she didn't, because again, we talk about credibility of a champion. if Valkyria is kind of establishing herself right now as a champion, to have her lose may have killed that credibility off, and then what happens to her after that? So I kind of get it. We're in that stage. I'm okay with it. I just feel like Ivy Nile is a tailor-made champion in the WWE. She's got everything, and hopefully in the future, Ivy Nile will become the Intercontinental or the Women's Champion. Maybe this year. Excuse me, at some point. Anyway, right. We said earlier on, Seth and Punk weren't finished. Adam Pearce was talking to Seth. It still kicked off. It was going all over the place. So next week on Raw, Adam Pearce has made CM Punk, Seth Rollins, MSG, steel cage match. There is your reason alone to tune in to Raw next week. We know that Cena is back, I think, the following week on Raw. I am really excited to see what they do in here. Again, pathways to WrestleMania. Now, could Punk's favor be with Paul Heyman? He gets into the Cody match and Seth goes against Roman. Are they still going to have Roman versus Punk versus Seth? We may find out a bit more next week on Raw. Really looking forward to that. Again, pathway, because the pathways are going to have, some of the blurred pathways are going to have to become clearer next week. I do think that, because you're going to have to start building each individual match up. So I am looking forward to seeing that next week. And we'll find out who comes out on top, what happens, what are the ramifications of that one next week. Exciting times. And that's before the WWE head off for about 3 weeks in Europe for the European shows ahead of WrestleMania, which is going to be fantastic. They're coming over to Brussels, Barcelona, Belgium, Belgium, France, the UK for Raw and SmackDown. It's going to be fun, 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 and crazy, absolute crazy. Looking forward to it though. Ludwig Kaiser promo next, and I tell you what. I will say this about Kaiser. He is I mean, look, the quality of the quality of the work in the ring has never been in question. He is really, really good in the ring, this Ludwig Kaiser. I really enjoy his work. And he's really kind of broken away from Imperium. He's come away from Gunther. He's establishing, I said establishing with Lyra Valkyria, but he's establishing himself now as a singles wrestler. And he sort of says, he thinks he's a future world champion. It doesn't change the fact that he's being booed. And Penta, he said if they think they've got unfinished business, then come up, step up. And that's what he did. And Penta rushes to the ring and he sends Kaiser out the ring with a flurry of offenses. But I tell you what, this segment with Penta and Kaiser, they both come out of it looking brilliant. They both come out of it looking great. I really believe that because as I said, Kaiser was another one. Obviously, Gunther was the man. You're the kind of, I don't like to say Marty Jannetty to the Shawn Michaels, but you're the number two in that instance. So breaking away from Gunther and allowing Ludwig Kaiser to show us the quality that he's got. Let's say the in-ring stuff, never in question, but it's everything that goes around it, and it's the aura, it's the believability, it's the promos, it's everything else. He's got that, and he's showing it, and he's really coming into his own now, and that can only be a good thing. Obviously, Penta coming out, he's still riding that crest of that high wave in WWE. Yes, he did technically lose his first match. It was a triple threat. He wasn't pinned, so kind of still undefeated in the one-on-one competition. Um, so really good showing by both of these. Now, the news about Penta is not necessarily about Penta, but about Ray Fenix. Now, Ray Fenix was in AEW, as you all know. Lots of issues, him trying to get released, it not working, him sitting at home kind of picking up a paycheck. Now we know Ray Fenix is gone from AEW. So he could well be WWE bound. I don't know if he's got a 90-day release. I'm not sure what the deal is. Did his contract finally expire? We don't know. Did they agree a mutual termination? We don't know. But could this set up a Lucha Brothers WrestleMania moment, perhaps against New Day? I don't know. Again, I'm just pitching ideas at this point because we don't know about Ray Fenix yet. Not enough has come out about Ray Fenix in terms of his release, no compete clause. If he's got one, can he just show up? What's the deal? So we'll see. But it would be great if he could and have that WrestleMania. Penta's gonna go in it 2-on-1. Out comes Ray Fenix. Bang! We've got the Lucha Brothers against New Day at WrestleMania. Could happen. I think Rey Mysterio was looking for some help with the New Day, so I thought it could have been Penta and Ray, but could it end up being? Could they? What they could do, and again, thinking out ahead here, is attack Ray as he's coming out at WrestleMania. Penta comes out. Think. Everyone thinks, well, 2-on-1. Bang, Ray Phoenix. There you go. Just set it. There you go, Triple H. Just set it up for you. My purchase order for my work is on its way to you, my friend. But anyway, let's get on to next. World Tag Team Championships. War Raiders, Creed Brothers. Brilliant match. I love these. I love these two. Eric and Ivar are elite in their tactic. They really are. Because they do the best of both. They have this way of making their opponents look like $1 million, but at the same time maintaining their badass aura. And it's very rare that that happens in this. Obviously, I do hit War Machine for the win. My assumption is that the Creed brothers will eventually win, a bit like Ivy Nile. They will eventually win the championship. They will. It's natural. They're too talented not to. Ivy Nile is too talented not to. So their time will come, but for now, you do have to really give the War Raiders their their flowers and give them their time as champion. But I'm sure at one point, or in the very near future, we will be seeing new tag team champions in the Creed brothers or Diamond Mine, whatever you want to call them, because they are just too good not to. But the War Raiders are elite level tag team, and they really, I'm kind of hoping they're going to be portrayed that way as well going forward at WWE. They've had a couple of missteps, obviously some serious injuries as well. But I think it's time for the Viking Raiders to show. I mean, they're showing you how elite they are, but I think it's time the WWE put them on that pedestal and allowed them to show everyone just how elite they well and truly are. Insert your barking noises, folks. It's Braun Breaker time. And he's giving an interview in the crowd. Finn Balor does interrupt. And, Breaker was like, I've already embarrassed the Judgment Day last week. And he said he can beat Bat and Balor, then come out and said, I can beat you anytime I want for that Intercontinental Championship. And then Breaker was like, okay. Power walks through the crowd. Carlito and Dominic try to attack, but try to attack Breaker before he can get to Balor. Breaker takes both men out. And then he beats down Balor. Dominic pulled him out of the ring before Breaker could spear Balor. But as they're walking up the ramp, Carlito's still on the outside, and Breaker just goes and literally spears the shit out of him, to be quite honest. It was crazy. Yeah, it was short and sweet, and Breaker should be taking out the Judgment Day like that. That's not degrading Finn. I mean, he didn't get to Finn, so Finn's kind of like the final boss of the Judgment Day, right? So he should be taking out Carlito and Dominic with ease to get to Finn. It's Finn that should pose him the threat in this. So I think they've done that absolutely brilliantly in that sense. But it was quite interesting, Dom and Finn up the ramp, left Carlito to the dog, not the wolves, the dog, in this case, and gets speared into next Monday for his troubles. Main event time. Now, Bianca Belair is out, so Bianca Belair won the chamber. We saw the return of Jade Cargill attacking Naomi. What the hell is going to happen with that this week on SmackDown? I don't know. But so we get to the main event, and incredible match. I don't think it was Ripley's and Io Sky's best match as they've done together. I think they've had better matches against each other. But the finish was shocking and the finish was incredible. And I tell you what, we don't know if Bianca's heading for a heel turn, but you could argue on this. So the finish was it was Rhea Ripley was going to do the Eradicator off the top rope. Bianca side to kind of stare down Ripley, got Ripley off of, threw her momentum away from what she was doing and allowed Io Sky to counter into the Frankensteiner. She then hits the moonsault and pins Rhea Ripley to become the new women's champion. It was a shocker. I didn't expect it. I thought we were off to the races with Bianca and Ripley. I kind of think Bianca is involved in the Jade Cargill stuff, which is going to basically turn her heel anyway and have her as a heel. I think she's going to be a great heel if that's where they're going. But to have Rhea lose clouds that. What is Rhea going to do? Is it going to end up being a triple threat at WrestleMania? We're going to add Rhea, Bianca, and Io in a triple threat for that women's championship. What's going on? But this is the best bit, and this is what I'm liking about WWE right now, starting at Elimination Chamber. The unpredictability of what is going on in WWE right now is priceless because it's keeping everybody guessing week after week after week. Well, at least for the last 2 weeks. I keep thinking about he's been doing it for ages. But right now, roads to WrestleMania, all roads are not leading there right now. And this is the best part of it. And Rhea Ripley's road is now not there. Io Sky's, potentially cemented that road now. They kept saying how she's on route to WrestleMania, but they were saying that about Rhea, and now she's not, or not as champion anyway. And I think there was a little bit of arrogance getting in the way for Rhea Ripley on that finish as well. But like I said, what does it mean? Will it end up being Belair and Sky? Will Ripley get a rematch? Will she be added to it? It's crazy. It really is crazy. But I tell you what, Raw was a hell of a show tonight. The, there was great in-ring action. Obviously, Valkyria and Nile. The main event was good as well, just not their best. Punk promo was unreal. He eviscerated John Cena. He tore into The Rock and Seth Rollins. You can. For me, it's going to be one of the most unpredictable Mania builds ever. I really, honestly, truly believe it's going to be one of the most unpredictable Mania builds ever. And I tell you what, I am all here for it. I think it's great that we're having this moment. I think it's great that they're keeping us guessing. I think it's great that everything that they're doing right now, since it is great. And we forgot to mention Chad Gable. I forgot to totally mention it. I've got it in my notes here on my page of my notes. I put it up the top of my note page. You can't see it, but um, Chad Gable. So there was a vignette with him. He was looking for somebody. He went down this dark alleyway, and the dark alleyway there's this old man, and he was like, "Is it you?" No, because he went Chad Gable, and he was like, Are you him?" And he kept giving him money, 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 and he presents Chad Gable with a box. Is it? Oh, I'm kind of not hoping it goes this way. Are they going to put a mask on Chad Gable? You got to embrace the lucha to beat the lucha. Has he got to become a lucha? Oh, they've already, they have mugged him off for far too long. And I'm sorry I'm having to wait until the end. I did put it on, I totally forgot to mention it. Too engrossed on everything else that happened on Raw. Are they really going to send Chad Gable that way? Are we really going to have a mask on Chad Gable? Let's hope not. Let's hope it's something different. But Raw in itself, brilliant, brilliant Raw. There is so much going on now on the road to WrestleMania. There's still so much stuff to come before we get to WrestleMania, which, and the good news for the UK, is over the Easter weekend. So we get the weekend, including the Monday, off of work to watch WrestleMania. Kudos to whoever thought that idea up in the WWE. That's a brilliant idea for us, anyway. Because we get the Good Friday and the Bank Holiday Monday off, and that just so happens to be WrestleMania weekend. So fantastic for that. But guys, look, right now on the channel, Independent Showcase Season 2 is out with Key and Cameron, an exciting young talent. Go and check that out. I just finished up with a bonus episode for the series, which is going to be dropping on Thursday. Burning Heart Pro Wrestling has got a show, this two shows this coming weekend. They're going to crown their first world champion. Jack is over from the States as well. Grizzled Young Veterans will be going after the tag team championships on top of that. So if you haven't got a ticket, I don't think there's many left. So get over up there for our sake and go and see that. But check out that's happening this Thursday. Check out our interview with Rob Van Dam in association with our partnership with Worldwide Wrestling UK, featuring Dart star Matthew Edgar. Myself and Matt had a great interview with Rob Van Dam. There's going to be plenty more of those interviews that me and Matt are going to start doing together as a unit. So look out for those on his channel at Worldwide Wrestling UK. And of course, at our channel at HTTB on YouTube, HTTB on X, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all social media platforms. We'll be back with NWA tomorrow with the lovely Fiona Lockwood, who is back with us this week. Hollywood Haley J as well, interview coming up with her, take two. Keep an eye out for that. But until tomorrow, everybody, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, the front man. I'm still the front man. I'm the only man. No. Joking. Adam Cousins, and I'll be back tomorrow with a wonderful Miss Fiona Lockwood. But until then, everybody, stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.